Alright, good morning YouTube. Got a special one here for you today. Heading up, meeting up with a couple other EV owners. I'm gonna do a little bit of a comparison range test for everyone.
What's going on YouTube? Thank you for coming back to my channel. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit that button, give me a like. That'd be very important to me and the YouTube algorithms. It would really help out. Today we're taking a look at some of the top EVs in the marketplace today and comparing them on a highway range test. We're going to go and have some fun.
2022 Hyundai Ioniq 5. This is an SEL model. Bought it beginning in January. Got a couple thousand miles on it now. Super happy with it so far. I actually bought it because we bought a Mach-E for my wife in December, and I wanted to be cooler than she was.
All-wheel drive Pro Volkswagen ID4. We've had it, picked it up in January, got about 1,200 miles on it.
I'm Norm, Bar Harbor, Maine. This is my Mach-E Extended Range Premium Edition. I bought it in November. It's actually my second Mach-E, having a Select for the first 6 months. And so far, a total of 18,000 miles in a Mach-E.
Alright, so you guys, if you've been following the channel, you know this car a little bit. This is the second Mach-E Select that I've had. Job 2, I picked this up around Christmas time, December. Currently at the end of February here, about to do a road trip. We've all charged up over 80%. Norm's done some scans, and I'll put that data up on the screen. So the chart here shows what we each charged up to at our first location before heading out. The blue column would be what is displayed on the in-car dash, while the orange column will give you the data that comes from an OBD2 adapter and scanner app. What you'll notice is each car is actually displaying more percentage than what is coming out of the scanner tool. This chart here just shows you what those actual kilowatts would look like at those percentages.
Welcome to my 2021 Mach-E Premium Extended Range All-Wheel Drive. Picked this up in November, had it throughout a very cold winter. Worst range I've seen is about 140 miles, and that was at 5 below zero. But average all winter long, about 180 miles. And the best around freezing time, about 200, 210 miles. I'm thoroughly looking forward to a summer where I can see 300 miles plus in my day-to-day commutes.
Alright guys, we're on the road. So we've got the Mach-E Premium in front of me. Directly behind me is the Ioniq 5, and pretty much behind that is the ID4. So what we've agreed on for this road trip is we're all gonna maintain a 70 mile per hour speed. We're gonna maintain 70 degree temperature of the cabin. I'm not using my seat warmers. If others want to, they are welcome to. We'll see what they end up doing. But now we're just cruising along. On my dash, you can see that it's showing 67. I'm adaptive cruise control behind the Premium, and I'm teetering at 69-70 right now. So try to get that at a consistent 70 if we can. Otherwise, we're all in a line with some good distance between us each. So we should be pretty much at the same speeds. So we started this trip in Scarborough, Maine, every other road trip, typically end up in a Walmart parking lot to get some juice. Met up with everyone. We all charged our cars up. This isn't a 100 to 0 test, so we all got to about 80 to 85 bar. We've been going here for just about a half an hour. A couple miles getting out of that Walmart parking lot onto I-95. Rolling along really well here. Since I've gotten on the highway, I haven't had my hands on the wheel. Just getting ready to take control if it needs me. And you can see that we've done 22.5 miles. And we are, or I am at least, we'll see what the others are doing, at 2.3. Just clicked over to 2.2 because we're going up a hill. Back to 2.3. So right now we're at 2.3-ish. We'll see where we end up. We're traveling all the way to a charging station in Marlborough, Mass. So as you can see from the range bubble, it's just within my range. So we're gonna get there and see where we're at for total charge. I'm currently at a 70% stated charge. So we're currently coming up on 55 minutes. We have been traveling at a constant 70 mile per hour, except for the brief section of highway where it was a 55 mile per hour zone. We did maintain slightly above that at 61. Again, that was going with the flow of traffic, if not a little bit slower. But in the interest of being safe, we weren't going to speed through there at 70. So you can see for my efficiency at this point, we're at coming up just past the 55-minute mark, 51 miles. We're at 2.3 to 2.4 kilowatts, miles per kilowatt. So 2.4 mile per kilowatt. The majority of this trip down 95, I have been in Blue Cruise, and I have not really had to put my hands on the wheel very much, so works very well. Maintaining the furthest distance with the adaptive cruise control, and we'll continue on.
Little halfway update to our trip south into Massachusetts. We're trying to stay close to 70. Got the climate set on 70 auto. 2.9 miles per kilowatt hour at the moment. It was a little cooler when we started. We're holding at 40 now for a little while. There's Nick up there. I got the cruise control one notch down from furthest away. Seems to be holding pretty good. Norm's in front of him, and then the ID4 in the rearview mirror. Electricity use. Climate is not really pulling a whole lot. Not surprising because not very cold out, and we're headed basically due south. So I don't think we're really needing much heat. Alright, that's a halfway update. I'll give you another one when we get to the turnaround point. Southbound on 95. 60% down to 59 now. 2.7 is the average. Doing pretty well. Lots of traffic though, so we've had to adjust speed with the traffic. But trying to stay along with everyone.
Interestingly, even though the destination is within the blue bubble, the car's onboard navigation is suggesting that I stop for a charge. It keeps trying to navigate me to a destination or have me turn around, but I'm just ignoring that. I'm going to continue to push it. Since we've got an extended range in front of us, We'll use that as the pace car. I'll follow him all the way there. I'm inside the blue. I'm feeling confident that we can get there. It's about 65 miles from where we're at now, and I'm showing a range of 67. So as long as I'm maintaining this 2.4 kilowatts that it's showing, I'm feeling pretty confident that I'll get there. And I am continuing on the route regardless of what the onboard navigation system says. I've just gotten the critical warning because I'm under 50 miles of range and I'm at 32%. I want to say that kicked on at 34%, but we're going to continue on all the way to our final destination. So my assumption on the onboard navigation is that even though we can reach our destination without a charge, either one of two things or both are happening. Because I entered the address and didn't select it as a charger, it doesn't know that it's a charger based on just the address. The other option or theory that I have, and you guys can comment below and let me know which is right or what your thoughts are. My other thought is it doesn't want me to go to a charger with a battery as low as it's going to be. Obviously there's some protections in place. Typically don't want to run the battery under 20% just to maintain long life on that battery. Doing it a couple times isn't going to hurt the battery at all. Don't panic. Model Y joined the party. Well, since the car is constantly yelling at me to turn around and find a charging station, I've switched over to Google Maps. So Google Maps is estimating that the destination for charging is in 31 miles, and I am showing an estimated range here of 38, so we'll be cutting it close. I am watching the road. So my efficiency has dropped down to 2.3 miles per kilowatt. We've been going just about 91 miles, an hour and a half of constant driving.
So we are at 50%, and we are cruising at 70 miles an hour again. We had to back it off for a bit to about 60 to 63 miles an hour because of traffic and the speed limit decreasing. But we are cruising along at 2.6 miles per kilowatt hour. And yeah, just cruising along, still in the convoy.
Alright, just arrived at the destination with a range estimate of 10 miles remaining, 8%. My efficiency based on the screen was 2.3 miles per kilowatt. It's always been a tongue twister. We did 116.5 miles and we were almost 2 hours. I plugged in at 8%. I'm already up to 11, and I did hit the max speed of 115, but now I'm at 109. Alright, so we've all charged up, eaten lunch. I'm going to now drive the ID4. We're going to figure out how this whole thing functions. So we've all switched cars. Got an EV Virgin hanging out in the Mustang Mach-E. That's mine. Go off to another station. We'll swap again. Alright, I'm in the drive mode that the previous driver left it at. I am in B mode because I have gotten myself pretty comfortable with the one pedal driving in my Mach-E. There is no auto hold, or at least it's not turned on in the model that I'm driving right now. So the car does roll when I take my foot off. Alright, so driving, very comfortable, drives really smooth. This all-wheel drive version is the first time I've been in one of these. I was in a demo unit that was a rear-wheel drive early when the ID4 first started rolling out. I wasn't overly impressed with the software. It seemed a little laggy and janky. Seems like that's been worked out pretty well. Once I figured out where the navigation was, I hopped in here with no tutorial, as if this was like a rental car that I picked up. Just had to figure it out as we were going. So system seems to be running well. Screen's a little on the small side, but nothing crazy. I mean, you see all the information you need to see. The maps are in color. They're done pretty well. The display up front is nice. Now we're just cruising along at 70 miles an hour here. So as we're driving along here, just a couple observations of this ID4 from a Mach-E user. Seats, they're definitely more plush than what you get in the Mach-E. So that would be a personal preference, whether that's something you're into or not into. I find them to actually be pretty comfortable. I'm a bigger guy. I like the bolstering on the sides. Really feels like it's holding you kind of in the center of the seat, whereas with the Mach-E you don't get much, if any, bolstering. You can slide around a little bit on that imitation leather. This is a cloth interior. I'm pretty impressed, especially since I was not impressed with the ID4 on my initial take on it. So I guess, first impressions, they can be changed. So great car, great value, very comfortable, smooth ride. I like this little screen off to the right side of the speedometer as well. Not quite, to the level that you'd see on a Tesla screen where it's showing you the cars all around you. As a car gets in front of you, it will pull it up and be in the distance. So this minivan's just getting in front of me here. You see it's within that green line. I'm going to assume that's my stopping distance. But as it's moving away, you can see it moving away on the screen as well. It's a cool little treat. Obviously you're looking at the road, so you can see that van moving away visually, but it is nice to just see that up on the screen. Alright, so there was my first drive in an all-wheel drive. I'm telling you, no matter what EV you guys buy, you can't go wrong. That was much more enjoyable than I remember. Granted, it was a 20-minute drive, so take that with a grain of salt, but I was very much impressed with that. Pulling up to a Tesla supercharger station. Seemed like a good spot to stop. Alright guys, this is where I jump in the driver's seat of the Ioniq 5. I had the owner of the vehicle in the car with me. Him and I were engaged in conversation, so I didn't get much initial reaction video while I was driving. My takeaway was that I felt that the materials were of a higher grade than the Volkswagen that I had just gotten out of. My other takeaway was because you sit much lower in the car, it does feel more like you're in a car rather than an SUV. Showing me the cars coming up. It's telling me there's one in my blind spot. That's great. Alright, I'm back here in eBiscuit, back in my my original Mustang Mach-E. You can see here we've been driving. We let the new guy take it for a spin while I took the ID4 out, and then the other Mach-E driver, who's got the Premium, took my Select while I drove the Ioniq 5 with the owner. All great cars. What I'm showing here is what the EPA rating is based on for each of these vehicles. And of course, under these conditions, with it being generally cold weather, we were also dealing with a westerly wind of about 13 to 17 miles per hour while we were traveling southbound and both on the northbound route. No cars achieved their EPA estimates. You can see the Ioniq 5 came closest to meeting its EPA rating. I attribute a lot of that to the fact that this is the only vehicle in this group that has a heat pump. In this range test, both the Mustang Premium and the Ioniq 5 traveled approximately 28 miles further than the Select and the ID4. That's because I was driving and was in conversation and not paying attention. I believe had my Select traveled the same distance as the Premium, I would have been more in line with the efficiency there. As the vehicle gets more efficient, the longer the trip, the temperature has already been reached in the cabin. It was also a sunny day, so you're getting the solar heat into the car, so the heater didn't have to work as hard. And my last bit of remedial Excel charts will be the Ioniq 5, based on these conditions, would have given you a total distance of 248 miles. That is 2% higher than the extended range battery, while having a 14% smaller battery. So between their heat pump and the weight of their vehicle, they are much more efficient compared to my Select all-wheel drive, which has a 14% smaller battery than the Ioniq. I would be getting 31% less range. The Ioniq and the VW have very similar sized batteries, but the Ioniq outperforms the Volkswagen by approximately 9% additional miles. Ultimately, if you're buying on value, I believe the Volkswagen is probably the best value. If you're buying on efficiency, the Hyundai and likely its sibling, the Kia, would be your highest efficiency. And if you're purchasing on quality, I would lean towards the Ford Mustang Mach-E.